I grew up with the Holocaust being a tightly woven fiber of my being. My extended family was basically a network of Holocaust survivors whom my grandparents met either in the displaced persons camps that they were in Austria or in the different organizations that popped up in America to support the survivors once they started coming over post-war in the 50s and 60s. And it's basically all I knew. It's what drove the Judaism in my family. And from this upbringing and being surrounded by these people, I had this understanding that the way that you react to the Shoah is through extreme emotion. My Zeta and my mother always cried at the drop of the hat. My grandmother is much stronger and seems to be able to hold in her emotions, but she cries on occasion. So because of that, I always cried with everything related to the Holocaust. And because of this, I expected the Poland trip to be incredibly difficult, as did my grandparents and my parents. Of course, it's important to note that on this trip, Rav Cooper, our fearless leader, did an excellent job of balancing things that happened before the war, things that happened during the war, and things that are going on right now with the slow increasing of the Jewish community, post-communism, post-war, you know. But when we dealt with stuff that involved the Shoah itself, I braced myself to have this reaction that I was used to having. But during the first few days of the trip, it didn't come. It didn't come. We trampled through snow to reach mass graves near the small town of Tikocin. We heard stories from the Warsaw Ghetto, and we had our first visit to camp, Majdanek. At Majdanek, I began to grow angry and frustrated over feeling so detached. Even though we were told that there was no right way to feel, I knew there was a right way to feel, and I just wasn't feeling it. I felt I was dishonoring my grandparents and all the relatives of mine who were killed, even though my grandparents told me that I need to focus on what they have now. Two wonderful children, 4 wonderful grandchildren. I'm here studying in Israel, and I have a lot of nachas from all of that. But I still felt that something was wrong. In a strange way, though, the next day after we visited Majdanek, I think it was the next day, doesn't matter, relief came to me because I found that emotion. We visited a not as well-known extermination camp called Belzhitz, where, as far as I know, at least 6 members of my grandparents' immediate family were killed. And I only made that connection a few days before the trip, so I didn't really have a lot of time to process that this is where they were killed. And I also wrote a poem. Poetry is a great way to express yourself, if that's how you feel. It's a good way to express yourself about my visit to Belzhitz, but to kind of understand the imagery, I need to briefly explain what Belzhitz looks like today. It's a huge memorial. They're not really huge. It's a smaller camp than what you might think of between Auschwitz and Birkenau and even Majdanek. And I'm just going to preface, there's a huge controversy with how the memorial was constructed. So basically, it's this field of these gray rocks that can't grow any material on it, and cutting right through into the ground. Mind you, this became a mass grave, and for those of you who know halakha, you're not really supposed to uproot the bodies of Jews who are already buried, so this is where the controversy is. But the architect decided to build right into the mass grave, so to make you feel as if you're walking into the grave with those who are buried there. There's huge walls of concrete with these metal things coming out, and you reach the end, and there's a wall of names and a quote that I don't remember, and then you can go up some stairs and walk around where they have on the different sidewalk squares the names of all the towns where people were deported from. So there's a way to just go around the stairs if you don't want to walk through the grave, which several people chose, but because of my close connection to this, I chose to walk through it. So this will help with the imagery of my poem. I walk into the depths of death, surrounded by the abandoned bones of my brothers and sisters. Hate and fear stifled their cries. Barren fields of rock and concrete trap their whispers. But I can hear them, and I do not forget. I climb the stairs of redemption, where the echoes of my voice, triumphant, cut through the silence and cast themselves over frosted grass, twisted metal, and stone, cold and silent. I am here, I cry. Do you see? Tears may fall. My voice may falter, but I laugh at the faces of your ghosts. Spit at their feet. Do you really see? I am here! A living testimony to your ultimate failures. You did not succeed. You did not win. I am here. הנני.
אני קם בעברית בבוקר ושותה בעברית קפה, משלם בעברית ביוקר על כל דבר שאני קונה.